As I've shared the past couple of days, the Biden administration is probably hoping that the latest indictment of former President Trump will draw attention away from other news that's been unfavorable toward President Biden. And among those unfavorable issues is last month's 30% spike in border migration numbers. That was revealed, by the way, just yesterday. Well, will this administration continue to insist that the border is not open and that their plan is working? Well, joining me now to discuss this and more is Congresswoman Debbie Lesko. She's a member of the House Committee on Energy and Commerce, as well as the Border Security Caucus. She represents the 8th Congressional District of Arizona. Congresswoman Lesko, great to see you. Welcome back to Washington Watch. It's great to see you, Jody. Well, thank you so much. And listen, y'all, you've got your hands full these days at home in the district there in Arizona as well as in D.C. So before we get to the border, and I do want to get to that, but I would love to just get your take on the latest indictment of former President Trump. What are your thoughts on the latest charges?
Well, I read through the entire indictment, and then I read parts of it over again, and I was not impressed. I wasn't impressed at all. First of all, most of the indictment hinges on the allegation that they're making that Donald Trump knowingly claimed there was election fraud. And the way that Jack Smith, the special counsel, tries to prove that Donald Trump knew there wasn't election fraud was he lists off different people that told him there wasn't any evidence of election fraud. The problem with that is that there were other people, including Trump's own attorneys, that showed him evidence or told him there was election fraud. So I don't see any way that the Department of Justice can prove that Donald Trump knowingly made false claims of election fraud. I think that's the crux of their case, and I don't think they can prove it.
Well, and even these days, there are still a lot of people out there who are convinced there was election fraud. I mean, that is not like a made up out of the air type of accusation. There are millions of people who believe that as well. But former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, was on CNN yesterday. I don't know if you saw this or not, but she was asked about her response to Republicans who are talking about how the DOJ has become weaponized. And I'd like to play this clip for you, Congresswoman, and get your response. Play clip 2, please.
The rule of law is central to a democracy. The fact that the former president was always attacking the rule of law in our country, and now these guys are parroting that. Shame on them. Shame on them.
So look, is pointing out the politicalization and the weaponization of the DOJ attacking the rule of law?
No, absolutely not. In fact, it's actually happening. I mean, you can tell the difference between how they're going after President Trump and President Trump's allies and conservatives versus how they're not going after Hunter Biden or Joe Biden or investigating it. And that's, you know, the Devin Archer testimony was very telling because he said that Hunter Biden put his dad, then Vice President Joe Biden, on the phone with his business partner sitting around, you know, in business meetings over 20 times. And he said it was to influence these people with the brand, meaning the Biden brand. And then you go into the whole thing with Burisma Energy Company, where Hunter Biden was paid all kinds of money to be on the board of Burisma Energy Company. And then we have testimony that from Devin Archer saying that the owner and the executives of Burisma Energy Company were pushing Hunter Biden to get Washington, D.C., to get rid of this prosecutor that was going after the Burisma Energy Company for corruption. And guess what? Vice President Biden, on a televised interview, bragged about how he got rid of this prosecutor by threatening Ukraine not to give him grant money, and so he got rid of him. I mean, come on. The Department of Justice isn't going to go after that, and Nancy Pelosi doesn't care anything about the Biden crime family, yet she's going after Trump once again. Wow, now what are they? They've already done 2 impeachments against him. They're going after him again and again. The other thing that I have really found troubling about this indictment is how biased the wording was that Jack Smith had in this indictment. He would put things in quotes, like, let's say there was a memorandum. It said the December 6th memorandum, but then he'd put in parentheses, the criminal, fraudulent plan. And I mean, just things like that. He would put adjectives like corrupt or criminal in front of things. It was so biased. I just don't see how this is going to hold water at all.
Unbelievable. Well, Congresswoman Lesko, thank you for your input on that. We are going to be unfolding more of this for our viewers and listeners as the program goes on. But now that I have you, I'd like to, if we can, switch gears a little bit to the southern border. I know this is an issue that you have personally been involved with greatly, as with others of your colleagues. But the border crossing the illegal crossings last month jumped 30%. And that's according to U.S. Customs and Border Protection data itself. This is incredible. And, of course, it's your state that seems to be taking the brunt of it. Can you share with us what's going on there right now?
Yeah, well, as you know, Jody, because you used to be in Congress, the Biden administration wants an open border. All of their policies, everything they do, all they're trying to do is have the Custom and Border Patrol Office act like travel agents and process all these illegal people coming over the border. The thing that really worries me is all the gotaways, meaning the people that are caught on camera or with sensors that are running away from the Border Patrol. And, it's so easy for people to come over the border and claim asylum so that they can get into the country. So these people that are trying to evade the Border Patrol, they must have a criminal history in the United States. That's why they're trying to evade them. So basically, the Biden administration has turned over almost complete control to the cartels. And so here in Maricopa County, which is the Phoenix metropolitan area in Arizona, we had a 5,000% increase in fentanyl deaths since 2015. And it's because all of the drugs coming over the border. The other thing that is really sad is that our own government is not vetting the sponsors where they're sending the thousands of unaccompanied children to. There was a home in Texas, Austin, Texas, that had 100 unaccompanied children. And a New York Times article just recently said how so many of these children are working full-time. They're minors, 12, 13 years old, working full-time to pay off the cartels and to pay off these corrupt sponsors that our own government is not vetting. In fact, Secretary of Health and Human Services Becerra was in front of the committee that I served on. And I said, in Washington, D.C., there's dog and cat foster regulations. Like if you want to adopt a dog or cat in Washington, D.C., you have to be interviewed and have a home inspection. Yet a home inspection is not required at all to bring in an unaccompanied child. There's no FBI background checks. There's no sexual abuse background checks that are required. It's just outrageous.
It is outrageous. That's unbelievable, and information I was not aware of there. Congresswoman Debbie Lesko, thank you so much for standing in the gap on so many of these issues. As I said, as you came on, I know you've got your plate full both at home and in Washington, D.C., and hats off to you for keeping the torch ablaze. We're extremely grateful. Thank you for joining us this evening on Washington Watch. God bless you.